Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. I'm Evan. I'm joined with Nick and Zach. And today we're going to be doing another movie review for you guys. This time we're going to be reviewing Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It came out this past weekend. Me and we have seen it twice. Nick's only seen it once, but we're going to give our thoughts and then make sure to stay tuned till the end because we're going to be ranking every Mission Impossible movie. So that'll be a good conversation. But, Nick, we'll start with you. Out of 10, how would you rate Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning?
I think that you have to judge this movie within the context of the Mission Impossible franchise, because I feel like as a standalone movie, like it's an above average action film. Like the action sequences are sick, the cinematography is very good, the soundtrack is good. The acting is not as good as other Mission Impossible installments, but still good enough to the point where
name me an example where it's not good.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
With in terms of my reviews for the movie. It doesn't mean it's bad. There's just a couple parts of the movie where I feel like I just didn't fully understand what was going on. I didn't understand what the motivation was for why characters did certain things. But as a standalone action movie, I thought it was good. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. On Letterboxd, which equates to a 7 out of 10, which is it's an above average movie. It's an enjoyable movie. I think in the context of the Mission Impossible franchise, though, because genuinely half of the 8 movies are S-tier action films. It does not get better than that. It's on the lower end of the other Mission Impossible movies for me personally. I thought the first hour of that movie was kind of a mess and all over the place in terms of storytelling and direction of what exactly Ethan and Grace we're gonna go do. The first main action sequence where Ethan and Grace are both trapped and he has to break out of this underground prison. They don't show any action. It's literally just you look at Ethan and you look at Grace who's shocked at what Ethan's doing, and then the camera points back to Ethan and he's got a butcher thing in a dude's chest, and then he's all right, let's go.
I believe that's done partially for comedy too.
But I don't want to watch a Mission Impossible movie for comedy. It's not the point of watching a Mission Impossible movie. I want to see Tom Cruise beat the crap out of some people. Yeah. I don't know. And then Gabriel shows up for the first 30-40 minutes of the movie, and he's just completely non-existent until the final sequences of the movie.
Story.
But for some overarching ominous threat, and I know the overarching threat is whatever it's called, the entity or whatever it is, yeah. But Gabriel's the main villain of the movie. He's portrayed as the main villain in terms of how he impacts the story. He's just non-existent for 2/3 of the film, which it works in the context of the movie, but in terms of other Mission Impossible franchises where the villains are always ever present in what Ethan's doing, It was a little lackluster. It's still going to make a lot of money at the box office, and it's still an enjoyable film. If you haven't seen any Mission Impossible movies before and you want to go see this movie, you should go see it. It's an enjoyable watch. I thought the last hour and a half of the movie was good. That was on the level of some of the recent Mission Impossible movies. My biggest complaint is the first hour's kind of just all over the place. And some of the directions that they take in that movie were kind of just I don't know. I didn't fully understand it when it comes to other Mission Impossible movies. But, it was good. I don't know if I'd ever, spend money to watch it again, but if it's on, later on down the years, I'll have it on and I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it.
Mission Impossible's made $190 million. It's
in a week?
First weekend.
Yeah.
Which I think is the highest.
It's the highest Mission Impossible movies ever made in the box office.
But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good, but I do agree the first hour was a bit slow. But once we got to the
ball
second
rolling,
half,
yeah.
Once you get the whole sub scene, I think that was really cool how they did that. And obviously, Tom Cruise actually did that. I mean, some of it he didn't. I don't think he swam 500 feet up, but
underneath a sheet of ice, in the Arctic.
I liked that scene. I thought that was cool. And then obviously the last the last act with the plane scene, that was obviously insane. He was like dangling off of planes with just his legs.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
And jumping from plane to plane, which I thought was pretty cool. Every movie his stunts get bigger and bigger and bigger. And after the last one where he jumped off of a mountain off a bike, I was wondering how he was going to top that. And then he jumps off of a plane midair, so I guess that works. But he was, they had that. He was, we laugh about the one where he was driving it with his foot while trying to like grab onto the plane. But yeah, it had some really great action scenes towards the end. And the biggest thing I loved about the movie was that it really tied in all 8 of them together. It brought back, Langley? Or the guy from Dunlow, the guy from the first Mission Impossible, when he stole the disc from the CIA, and he had like his arc went full circle because him and Ethan talked, and he was like, if you would have never done that, like I don't know where my life would have been. Like I would have never met my wife. I would have never had like a peaceful life or whatever. So that was cool to bring him back. And then at the very beginning of the movie, they had that montage of like all the big scenes from all of the past movies, which I thought was cool. I thought it was cool how basically the reason the entity is a thing is because of Ethan, like because he stole the rabbit's foot, and the third film that triggered into creating the entity and all this other stuff. So it was kind of like, a lot of people are saying this is like the quote-unquote end game of the series, like the big wrap-up. Obviously, it's not as good, but I enjoyed it a lot. I liked all of the, obviously, like, you still had the main characters from the last one, like Benji, Grace. Luther died, which was sad. But I thought it was really good, and I liked one of my favorite parts was when Taylor Tremo came out.
He was my favorite character in the whole movie.
In the sub, I thought that was cool. And he was like, if you need somebody to poke the bear, you came to the right guy. And he was like, I don't know, I just love him. Also, I'm biased because of Severance. I love that show. But I thought it was pretty good. It's definitely not the best one. And we'll do our ranking, and you'll figure out where I have it later. But I thought it was a good wrap up to the end, to end the I guess.
And the saga.
The saga, yeah. But definitely wasn't the best one, but I enjoyed it. I've seen it twice, so obviously I enjoyed it enough to watch it again. But I thought it was pretty good.
All right, well, I think these guys are a little low on it. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed how they wrapped up the whole series. I liked how they pointed back to certain aspects of the previous movie. I thought the rabbit's foot thing was pretty cool because that was really a story that was never ended from the third movie. They never really told us what the rabbit's foot was. So I thought that was kind of cool to draw that back to it. An interesting little twist to that movie. But, yeah, I thought it was a really great movie. I thought it was, really, honestly, I felt that it was really just about as good as most of the other ones. I thought, I think you take 4 through 8, and I think all of those are really kind of on the same like level for me. We'll talk about the rankings in a second, but I personally, I think 4 through 8 are really all kind of on the same level for me. And this one didn't disappoint. I think it was really just as good as the others. Really enjoyed it. It was very long, so
it was the longest.
It was the longest one.
It was just under
almost
3 hours. So
2 hours and 50 minutes.
A lot of time to enjoy there for me. The action scenes were freaking sweet. The plane scene was really good. I will say, though, that I do not think that it topped the motorcycle mountain one. I think that was probably
the coolest stunt any has ever been done in a Mission Impossible film.
Yeah, that was probably the one from the 7th one that was like, whew, yeah, that one's not going to get topped. But the plane one was really sweet, though. I watched a couple of short videos just talking about them actually doing that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, and, he did actually jump out of a helicopter to film the scene where, like, the scene when he puts the poison pill on it, when he's, like, after he ejects and
Oh yeah.
like when they shot that, he did just like jump backwards out of a helicopter, and they had a camera strapped on him, and that was that. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I thought the action scenes were really cool. It was intense. I was on the edge of my seat for pretty much the entire movie. Yeah, I mean, Luther dying was pretty sad. That was pretty sad, but it was one of those where it's like,
he had to die in the context of the story.
Yeah, it was a good story. I mean, it was sad, but it was a good like story for just how I think he went out a good way.
Yeah,
I was less sad about that than I was when they killed off Ilsa Faust in the 7th one. Yeah. Just because I felt that like obviously like Luther, like as a character we have more of a connection to him because he was in all 8 of them. Mm-hmm. But I just felt that they really did a good job with that, like in the storyline. I thought that was a really good way for him to kind of go out there.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. I love the way they ended it. Because, I mean, to be honest with you, I thought going into the movie, I thought there was a decent chance that he might die, or that more of the central characters would die, just because I knew that it was like the end game of the Mission Impossible. But I thought they ended it on a really great note. I mean, kind of live to fight another day, and I mean, obviously it's the last one they're making, but I thought they ended it very well.
They'll reboot this series in about 5 years.
Not with Tom Cruise, though.
Yeah, well, who knows? It's Tom Cruise.
I would love to see more. I think I could keep watching. Like, they could make 15 of these, and I would go see every single one on opening night, because I am just... Mission Impossible, we'll put that out. I'll put that out there as a disclaimer. The Mission Impossible series is one of my favorite movie series of all time. I am a hardcore lover of this series. I have really enjoyed every single one, except for number 2. Even number 2 still has a little bit of enjoyment. But, I mean, they're all so good. I love them all. And as I will say, when we get to the rankings, 4 through 8 are nearly impossible for me to rank. I love all of them. But, I mean, as far as this one speaks, I really like the idea. Like, I think the Entity is a really cool villain.
Yeah.
I think that it's just really cool, especially, I mean, for 7 and 8, because it's a part 1 and a part 2. I think it's just really cool. Like, particularly, like, in our day and age now, when, like, AI is actually a thing now. And
it's getting crazy.
It's a really cool villain, because it's like, okay, like, this is not going to ever actually happen, but it's like, the possibility is out. Like, it's not going to happen.
Have you seen the Google, like, new AI that's come out with Google?
Oh, I was more so just talking about, like, some of the chat bots and stuff like that. I haven't seen the Google AI, no.
I'll show you this after we're done recording. It's freaky.
It's gonna take over the world.
It's freaky, dude.
Yeah, I think that like AI as a villain is a really like interesting and cool villain for these last 2 movies, because particularly in the 7th one, I mean, and it bled into the 8th one for sure, because it's like I said, part 1, part 2, but particularly in the 7th one, I think they did a really good job at like setting up the Entity as like an undefeatable villain. Yeah. Like he's like this AI is just like you can't beat it, you know. So I think that it was really, I just think that this was a really cool villain. But I really like the way they ended it. How I thought the final scene of when he puts the poison pill in it and Grace has to take the thing out in the blink of an eye. I thought that was just so cool. Like they're tricking the villain, and I thought it was really cool how they had each of those characters like played an integral part in it. Like Grace, like only she could be the one to remove it. Obviously, only Ethan was going to be the one to get
poison
what's his
back.
name? Yeah, but Gabriel, and Benji. Well, he had an unfortunate event, but he was the only one.
He was the only one that could communicate how to like defuse the stuff.
Yeah. So I thought they just used each character really well. I really enjoyed particularly the last like hour or so of the movie, really the last like from the sub on, was just pure action and just pure intensity. I thought that I just thought it was really good. I was a big time enjoyer of it, and I will say, particularly in like movies like this, it doesn't really take a lot to please me. I'm really not a very harsh movie critic.
Yeah.
You asked me about The Flash or some other movies. They're genuinely god awful. But like, I'm not that harsh on this podcast,
Weaver.
So
it'll be an hour of just him talking. We wouldn't say anything.
But yeah, I'm a really, really big time enjoyer of this film. I'm always just also a sucker for really good, like, well endings. Like, you know, like a lot of people will say that Infinity War is better than Endgame. I like Endgame better because I'm just such a sucker for good endings,
Like
you know?
good wrap ups to
Yeah,
stories.
and I
that's
think
fair.
that this is one of those.
Good conclusions.
You know, I thought that they did a good job with concluding this, and yeah, like I said, I really like the idea of the AI villain. I think that's just a really cool villain, and you know, him having like the nuclear launch codes. And I thought that this one was just really interesting because it really puts you in like a true like World War III like type of
Global
vibe,
Armageddon scenario.
like global like war, like global nuclear war type vibe here. And it's like I just thought that it was like a really cool like story. I thought it was a really good story, so I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was on Letterboxd. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. So I thought it was a really good movie. I was a big time enjoyer of it.
That's fair.
I think you were talking about, I think another big problem that the movie had in the first like 45 minutes is they were doing flashbacks all the time.
Well, they kind of had like they plugged in certain stories, and it
They
was like,
had just as many flashbacks in the first 45 minutes of that movie than they did actual like new content.
well, and the other thing is like I think like it goes for like every mission movie is like you like. They don't want it to turn into Marvel, where it's
Well,
like
yeah.
you have to watch all of them, and like if I was somebody who's never seen a previous Mission Impossible, I could still go see this movie and follow it. Just
Right.
And the other thing is like I felt like the movies that they did do flashbacks to were the older one. It was from the original trilogy, so it's like you kind of like. You might need to get a bit of a flashback because these movies are like 20, 30 years old. you know?
Yeah, but this movie's so different from the first like two Mission
It is,
Impossible
but
movies.
it did a good job at tying in. Like I really liked how they tied in the rabbit's foot. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that
and
was cool.
obviously like I really liked Dunlow's character in this. How
Yeah.
they expanded on him from the first movie and even tied that back in because it's just all like. And it was all just connected. And also they did flashbacks in this one and in the seventh one to like Ethan before he was in the IMF when Gabriel killed
His,
whoever that girl was.
his
They
wife at the point. at
Oh,
that
was his
point.
wife?
Yeah.
Well, because he remarried then in the third one. But yeah, so I mean, I just thought it was really cool how they just did so many drawbacks to like the whole series, and it just I thought it just really kind of brought like the whole series together, you know, because you know like all of them are good movies, all of them can be standalone movies, but there were some plot points that weren't finished, like Dunlow's character arc, and you had the rabbit's foot. That's the biggest one because, like I said, they never tell you what it is in the third one.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you're under the assumption it's some sort of biological weapon. You know, he has to go retrieve that and give it to that arms dealer so that he'll let his wife go. But they never tell you. And I'm pretty sure at the end of the movie, doesn't the government end up taking it at the end of the movie?
I think so.
Because the arms dealer dies.
He dies, yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the government takes it, and that's pretty much that's the end of it. And if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen the third one, but if I remember correctly, there's even like a little bit of a dialogue at the end of that movie saying like, I wonder what this really was, and like you'll never know what this really was. Like this is like top secret, you know. Yeah. But like, so I thought it was really cool how that got tied back in. And it's like, oh, you actually like stole the
End of the world.
the very first like source code of the entity.
Yeah.
You put
And-
this Armageddon in motion
Yeah.
by
Well,
stealing that.
It kind of gives you like Iron Man Ultron
Yeah.
vibes, you know, because it's like, well, and like Ethan says at the beginning of the movie, he says like, I sunk that Russian submarine just as much as the entity did. So it kind of gives you like the Iron Man versus Ultron like type of vibe. So
Like
I
he was
thought it
doing good, but it ultimately like became bad.
yeah, and then he has to like
Caused a bigger problem.
yeah, but then he has to go fix that, you know. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of like that's almost like a story arc throughout the whole series. Like it just causes bigger problem. Like it's just like bigger problem gets caused, and you know, I don't know. It's just it's pretty interesting to see how he is able to go and address all these issues that come up. But I thought it was really good though. I really liked it a lot. And I saw it Thursday night and Friday night. You know, partially to crash Alex's date. Shout out Alex. But I would watch it again. I thought it was really good.
I did like how they kind of made it feel like every mission that Ethan's gone on has led to like this.
Yeah.
So like everything that he's learned, everybody he's met. It all has came to this because, I mean, like you said, like the Entity is the biggest villain that's been in the series, and
it is. I mean,
his whole goal was basically to start a nuclear war to end
I mean,
humanity.
what?
So it's as high of a stake as you could possibly.
That's
get.
it. What can possibly be higher than that? I mean, like in the first movie we have a mole in the CIA. The second one, some sort of arms dealer stealing a biological weapon. The third one's an arms dealer. The fourth one, who's the villain in the fourth one? Oh, it's that nuclear physicist guy. And then the fifth one's the Rogue Nation, and so it's like so
fifth and sixth are the
5 and 6 are really good.
5 and 6.
Five is the Rogue. 5 is the Syndicate, which is like the anti-IMF, and then 6 is like
kind of also.
Well, 6 is like the leftovers of the anti-IMF, and they make like a nuclear like war group type thing. But like the Entity really is like the ultimate villain in the series. Like it can't like the stakes, like you said, the stakes didn't get higher. Like this movie, it was like in this movie, it was like the world is going to end if he doesn't stop this. Like there was not really any other movie where it was that high.
There was no gray area. You either stop the Entity or everyone dies.
Yeah. So it's like they're like the stakes are always high, but they've never been quite. Episode or not episode. The sixth one does have like a nuclear, bomb, but like this is like the world, like every nation's gonna get blown up if this thing doesn't get stopped. So it's like the stakes are like as high as they get.
I did like how when Ethan got captured by like the American government and went in and they had like the big countdown that was like until Armageddon basically.
Yeah.
And how you saw the struggle between like US's world leaders.
Ooh, that was a good part
trusting,
too. Yeah.
Trusting Ethan, who has, I mean, a constant thing throughout the movie is he defies orders. He like goes against everything that the U.S. government is, but he gets the job done.
He's never failed it.
Yeah, but I thought it was cool how, especially like towards the end when all of them are in that room and they're like, all right, here's your like the Entity is just taken over everybody except the United States' nuclear weapons, and they're like, Madam President, like here's a list of the cities that you're gonna have to bomb and we're going to have to let one of our cities go. So you see like the power struggle. You can kind of feel like, all right, like if I was in if I was in her shoes, like the fate of the world is basically in your hands and in Ethan's hands, but you have no clue what Ethan's doing.
Yeah.
And if the Entity gets your weapons, then everyone's screwed.
Dead, yeah.
So, and then like, I just thought that whole conversation between all of them and like them coming to the realization that, okay, we're probably going to have to just bomb 8 of the biggest cities in the world, and then in doing so, we're gonna have to sacrifice one of ours. And then I thought it was a powerful scene when, we thought that they were going to launch all of them, but then she closed it and was like, "No, I'm gonna trust Ethan." And then like she's done so many times, and then everyone was like, "Are you nuts? Like you're such an idiot."
Yeah.
And then he gets it done, and at the end, he's like, "Oh my gosh, that." To the word, but that guy did it, like I thought the scenes inside of the American government where they're kind of that inner turmoil
power struggle,
of, like what do you do in this life or death situation? As
I really liked the president.
I thought that was cool to kind of see the internal struggle they had with some people being like just bomb everybody, and then some people like no, we need to be the saying ones here. Like we need to turn off our weapons, and like I thought that was a cool like inner struggle that.
And that's something else that like I don't like. Why didn't they think of like? Because if they would have shut down, if the U.S. would have shut down their like nuclear weapons, then that would have bought Ethan more time. So it's like
I think they were worried if they shut them
not
down.
Not really, because every other
what I'm saying is like when every other nation except the U.S. had already been like infiltrated by the Entity, then at that point it's like just shut them down because that would give Ethan more time because we know the Entity's not going to do it.
Not going to launch it until he has all 8. Yeah.
But it's like so like they just like they came to that realization like. Way too late, but like, it still worked out because Ethan Hunt likes to come in with literally 1 second left every time.
He's done that almost every time.
It cannot possibly cut it more close, but yeah, I didn't even yeah, I didn't really think about that. I like the president and just that whole
Angela
ordeal there.
Bassett's a great actress.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. I also like the conversation that the team had in the plane when they were going to the Doomsday Vault, and Ethan was like, "All right, here's the plan," and like, it sounds impossible, which is like what the movie is. Like he was like,
Well, they're
"We're
also-
gonna."
It is.
He's
You
like-
will not
he's-
believe what the movie's called.
Yeah, he was like, "We're gonna give Gabriel the keys to the entity, and we're just gonna have to trust that he does it." You know.
Well, it's like they're manipulating the situation
Yeah.
so that he thinks he's doing what he wants to do, but he's actually doing what they need.
and
to
they
do,
were
you
like,
know?
"Are you like we're not gonna?" He was like, "You're not just gonna give it to him, are we?" And he's like, "That's exactly what I'm gonna do."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," and then I thought it was cool how Grace kind of, as the movie progresses, she's has a period of time where Ethan's main goal is destroy the entity. Nobody has the self control or the willpower to hold this earth destroying weapon.
Yeah.
and she's like, Ethan, why don't you take control of it? Because you're the only person that I trust to do any of that stuff. And he's like, no, even I can't do that.
Yeah.
So for the betterment of humanity, we just have to destroy it. Which I guess technically he does have it, because they never. I mean, you never see them destroy.
Well, I don't how do you destroy it?
Yeah, you really. It's
I mean,
hard.
that's the thing.
You
that's
go to a volcano and you toss it in a volcano.
Well, I guess you have the drive and do
Yeah.
that, but how do you until you get it in that drive? I don't know how you.
Yeah, but then you see the United States. I don't know if it was true, if they were trying to manipulate him. But they're like, if you destroy it, it's gonna bring war anyway, because the cyberspace is gonna be all gone and
Yeah, I didn't know
everything.
that-
I
what
think
was that talking
That
about?
was probably more manipulation. Hey, bring it back. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I believe that's what I inferred from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this was one of the more serious films out of all of them.
I would say it was one of the more heavier, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say intense, because they're
all
all
intense.
they're all pretty intense, but this one had a little bit of a heavier feel just because of
Yeah.
the stakes and the villain being AI, I guess. You know.
And I mean, I thought that Benji was gonna die.
Yeah, I did.
I honestly thought Ethan was gonna die when
I
his
also
parachute
did.
caught on fire. I was like, oh,
That's what I thought too.
He's dead. Which
How did he even survive that?
Because they
he had a
have backup
I
parachute.
guess. And he's Tom Cruise, so he can do
He can do what he wants.
That's not just movies
No, it's
yanking your chain though. They have backup shoots in case that happens.
Yeah, but some technical film stuff that I liked. Obviously, the shots on the plane I thought was cool. I don't know if they shot that 19 different times. That was 19 takes, which is insane. And how I mean, first of all, getting a camera on a plane is hard, and to follow the plane is even harder. But my two favorite shots of the whole movie, one was when he was in the tank or whatever, and he was about to enter into the ocean to go down to the submersible. I don't know if you guys caught this, but when he turns the gauge or whatever to raise the water up, the aspect ratio expands with the turn, so the screen expanded with when he turned, which I thought was cool. And then when he's floating up to the ice, the camera turns, and he's
I did see that.
That was
Yeah,
cool.
that was cool.
when he's floating, and the camera gradually turns, and then his back is to the ice, and then you see Grace's.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. But yeah, I mean,
I did not catch the aspect ratio one.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
that was
I'd have
just
to see it again.
that was just a very quick
Yeah.
little thing, but I saw it. I was like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah, if you ask me about the technical side of the film,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be able to tell you.
Well,
very
I
much,
noticed
but-
that stuff now, but yeah, I mean, you alluded to this, but the Mission Impossible saga is the pinnacle of action movies.
Oh yeah,
They're by far the best action movies, and if you're making an action movie, you look at the blueprint that Tom Cruise has set, and you try to replicate that as best you can. I mean, there's a ton of action movies out there, but I don't think any of them will get to the level.
no,
that-
I mean, dude, we went and saw that amateur movie just because we were like, yeah, why not? And
Yeah.
it was
it was okay.
that was an average that was your everyday action movie, but dude, it was
Yeah.
I would not see that again.
Yeah.
Well,
and like you said on Letterboxd, you have 4 through 8, a pretty much around the same area.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of the few series that, barring the second movie, every movie gets better. Like,
Yeah.
in most series, like the first one is really good, and then you kind of go down. I mean, the MCU is long, but like I'm thinking like when you think of an 8-movie saga, like it's bound to like peak and then drop down. But with this, it starts, then it drops a little bit, and then it just keeps going up, which I think is super impressive for them to. And I mean, once you get to 4, that's really kind of they hit their stride, and every movie is just hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
And I mean, like when we do our rankings, like most of these movies, I think the lowest movie I have it rated is Mission Impossible 2, and I have that as like a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Which is like a 5 out of 10 movie. And then other than that, every one of them is teetering on the 4 to 4.5 range.
Oh yeah.
So that just speaks to how long running this franchise has gone, and how influential it has been with action films and films in general.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tom Cruise is
And it's like stunts too.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
Tom Cruise is one of the most influential actors.
I've seen a lot of stuff that said like Tom Cruise is like the last like true action hero
Yeah.
of like films.
'Cause
I mean that's probably I can get behind that. I mean,
'Cause,
you have like
I mean,
guys
no
like Harrison Ford.
No
and-
one's jumping out of planes
Yeah.
or free climbing mountains, or
Yeah,
no
yeah.
one's going to do that. But I also just love that with all of those movies, like Tom Cruise makes it so apparent that the movies I make, I want to appeal to audiences. I'm not just making these movies to make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Like, he's a film nerd, film critic. Like, he wants to just put out the best movie possible and make an enjoyable theatrical experience for everybody,
Yeah.
which I think we've lost at times.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, big time.
People say he's saved cinema like 3 times already. And
Well, yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah, because I would agree with that. I think there's a lot of movies that are coming out nowadays that are just garbage. That I mean, like when you actually look, I mean, you would be able to tell better, but like from a technical film standpoint, but like that, the story, just everything, all in all, as a film, they're trash. Like, and I know, I've seen like Tom Cruise is like, you know, he's said and made comments and stuff about like the younger generation of actors. Like he says, like basically, like these guys just aren't as good as what we were because like he says that like, you know, to be like he feels that to be the best actor that you can be, you need to know everything about the film. Like not like you don't need to know just like your lines and stuff like that, but like you need to know like the technical side of things and how things are done from like a film standpoint, in addition to everybody's parts and the story and just everything. Like you need to know everything from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And he does that. And I would definitely agree that like these movies are. He puts all he has into these movies. Like I mean, he's really trying to make these good movies that are enjoyable to everybody. You know, it's not just I don't think these are just garbage. Like I like you know some of these like newer action movies like I mean some of these Jason Statham action movies like these like what like
What's the job?
yeah like what like these are trash.
Or even,
like come on now,
or even
you know?
if you think of like Marvel when they're pushing out 3 to 4
Yeah.
movies a
Yeah.
year, like you can tell like, okay,
They're
this movie
prioritizing
just
quality
came
over or
out
quantity
just
over
because
quality.
they want to make money.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
they don't
yeah.
care about, like you said, the quality of the film.
Yeah, well, and like you know, another thing that I think is just so impressive about this movie, or not this movie, the series as a whole, is because there's 8 of them, and one of them, in my opinion, is at or below 5 out of 10 stars. Like you were saying,
Yeah,
it's different than the Mission Impossible is different than the MCU because the MCU it's not really following like one standalone character throughout the the MCU is
It's a universe.
It's a universe of characters and
Yeah.
and stories and movies, and that's really cool too. But I think that opens you up to the possibility of okay, this one sucked, this one was really good. You know,
Yeah, the highs and lows of the MCU are very like
yeah, and it doesn't follow a straight streamline like the first like I don't know like the first. I'm trying to like the first Thor is a good example. Like I personally like that movie, but you know like the second one is not very good, and then the third one is the best one. You know, so it's like it doesn't like that's possible in the MCU, but like most other series, like Jaws, for instance, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's like a straight line 1, 2, 3, 4, and they get progressively worse and worse and worse.
they go
Exactly. But Mission
Once
Impossible.
you get to Jaws Revenge, it's like down here.
It's below the scale.
That's what I'm saying. But like with Mission Impossible, it follows the same character in every movie, and they each get better. Like Mission Impossible is not a universe; it's a story of this main one character, and they get better and better and better. Which is outside of a universe, that's pretty rare. So, and the stunts get better too. Like in the first movie, the impossible thing that he does in the first movie is that he breaks into that CIA vault and he hangs, through the ceiling there. He takes the disc. That's the impossible thing that he does in that movie. Fast forward to movie 7, he's riding a motorcycle off a mountain.
You look back and like, that's baby crap, bro.
Yeah. And like he rides a motorcycle off a mountain, and then the 8th one, he's flying airplanes,
he's jumping in between planes and flying it with his foot.
It continues to defy the odds.
Yeah,
of
not only
what humans can do.
I know, not only does the story get better, but like the action and the stunts get better and better and better. Yeah, It's crazy, honestly. I cannot possibly say enough about this series. I love this series.
Before we go into our ranking, one tie-in from the earlier films that we forgot to mention was Briggs, the guy that brings him in, is the guy in the first movie's son, right? The guy that the villain from the first movie.
Yeah.
The guy that turns out to be the mole in the CIA. It's his son.
That's his son. Yeah. And then he has a whole
your reckoning will come moment.
Yeah, and he hates Ethan, but then at the end, he gives him a handshake, and it's
Yeah.
Right.
At the end of the day,
so I just thought that was another thing that they tied
I forgot about that one. Yeah. That one was pretty cool too. I also thought it was cool how they mentioned in the 4th one the Kremlin bombing when they said that. In fairness, that was actually intended to kill him. Yeah. I thought that was kind of...
They're going through his rap sheet. And he's done this, and this.
And I think that was a cool way to kind of go, nod to each one. The first one had several nods with that, and it had, Dunlow. The second one really kind of was just pushed out.
We don't talk about that one.
Because it's the worst one. But, the third one with the rabbit's foot, the 4th one with the Kremlin bombing, and then, 5 and 6... kind of 5, 6, 7, and 8. I feel all kind of like that. 5 through 8. I feel could be its own mini series in the whole they all kind of flow together. Yeah, because 5 and 6 in my 5 and 6 I don't think are a part 1 and part 2, but 5 and 6 are very intertwined. I wouldn't watch 6 before I watch 5. And 7 and 8 genuinely are a part 1 and part 2. So it's but I thought it was kind of cool that they went through and redid kind of all those, and
all right, shall we rank these?
This is going to be
the ranking
impossible.
going.
We'll start with 8 and go to 1. I think we can all agree that the second one.
Yes,
is 8.
the second one is the worst.
That's definitely.
Are we going in order? What we are we each of us giving a list of I would go?
Yeah, but I'm just for the sake of conversation. I mean, we all
have 8 as
there's no
the bottom.
debating.
Yeah.
We all
have 2
you
at
can
number
say
8.
why you think it's not great, but
I'm just gonna say if you've watched all the Mission Impossible movies, you will 8 or 2 is the worst one.
It is
easily.
Objectively, it is. It's not bad, but it's objectively the worst one.
Yeah,
it's not great.
I would say that is a decent action movie. I would watch Mission Impossible 2 any day of the week before I'd watch The Amateur or any of these Jason Statham movies, though. That's the other thing. It's even the lowest and objectively worst Mission Impossible movie is still, in my mind, an at minimum average action movie. Yeah. It's not as good as the Bournes, but it's better than some of the random action movies that come out, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Mission Impossible 2, when you think of it, it's this is the perfect example of action film meets 2000s film.
Yeah,
slow motion stuff. A lot of explosions. Some spotty acting by some people. Not Tom Cruise, obviously, but a couple scenes in there where I'm that would never happen. But yeah, I mean, it was out of a series that has so many excellent films. This one just isn't one of them. Not to say that it's like an awful film.
No,
it's just with the ceiling that these films have created, it's nowhere near.
Yeah. I would reiterate that it is a decent action movie, but it does not stack up to the
Tom
other
Cruise's
seven.
long hair and his like sunglasses.
Yeah, it's just like
Travis Winston.
it's just so heavily early 2000s.
Yeah,
like
that's exactly.
it's so much early 2000s action. Yeah, like
I do think the free climbing
That's
opening
pretty cool.
scene I think is really cool.
yeah, that's pretty
That's
cool.
probably one of my favorite like opening scenes to one of the movies.
Yeah,
And then they drop was it like helicopter or drone or something?
yeah.
And he puts the sunglasses on. But yeah, it's just like the villain is forgetful.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even like it's like a
the love interest is forgetful.
yeah.
So
It's like some sort of biological hazard.
it's a
type
rogue
thing.
IMF agent who becomes like an arms dealer or something.
Yeah. Well, and like the weapon is like some like biohazard or something like that. Like,
Isn't that the one where they're driving motorcycles towards
Yes.
each other? They both jump off of him and punch each other like that, which is never. happen.
yeah.
There's some in that third act where they're like fighting on the beach or whatever. There's some unrealistic things that happen
Like
there.
it's like cool just because it's like
Yeah.
it's,
I mean,
like,
it's a good-
it's a decent fighting scene, but it's just like it's a little too early 2000s.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, you can start with your 7th.
My 7th ranked Mission Impossible movie is Mission Impossible 3. Like we said, all the other ones outside of the second one, I feel like are objectively good action movies. The thing that has Mission Impossible ranked below my next entry is I feel like the ending of Mission Impossible 3 is really good, but everything else in that movie is like, it's okay. Like, it's not super memorable. Like, outside of Philip Seymour Hoffman and then, like, Tom Cruise and then, like, obviously Luther and all that, I can't remember anything major that any of the characters does in that movie. I think it's more forgetful than my next entry, and that might be, biased a little bit, just purely based on nostalgia. But for me, my 6 and 7 are kind of interchangeable, and I feel like number 6 is more memorable than number 3. So I have Mission Impossible 3 ranked at number 7.
Okay.
My number 7.
Wait. Were you saying number 6 like Fallout?
No, I'm saying like
Like your place.
Yeah,
6.
my place.
I was gonna say if you had Fallout that low, we'd be starting a real riot.
No.
That would be absurd.
Yeah.
But my 7 is Mission Impossible 1. Now, this is not saying that this is a bad film by any stretch. This is a great movie. It started off the whole trilogy. You get the first scene where his mission goes as wrong as it possibly could go. Everybody dies. And then, he gets framed for being the mole like he always does. I thought when he chews the gum and throws it on, I thought that was a cool scene. And then how he has to kind of, clear his name while also running away from the America, I guess. And then, one of the most iconic scenes of the entire series is when he's, floating or getting lowered down into the vault. Great movie, but I just, like I've said, the movie's just got better and better, so I think it's on the lower half of them, but that's not to say that it's a bad movie. Very good movie, and it started the trend, and it's funny watching it back and just seeing how young Tom Cruise was during that movie, because that movie came out in 1996. So, but great movie, but I have it at 7. But I like that movie a lot.
Yeah. For my number 7, I also have the first one. Pretty much just for the same reasons. I mean, we all agree the second one's the worst, and the second one I think kind of has its own tier that's lower.
Yeah.
And then I think you go into another.
drop-off.
I think there are 3 tiers of Mission Impossible movies. I think you have the second one on the bottom, and then I think you go into the next tier, and I think that one is where 1 is. So I have 1 at 7, and that it's just for the same reasons that you said. I mean, it's just it's a very like nostalgic type of movie, just because it was the first one. It was the first Mission Impossible I've seen. It's the first one. It starts the whole series. You know, it's a good story with like a mole in the CIA. You know, it's a good story, good action. It kicked everything off. But I just think, I truly think that they keep getting better and better and better, and because of how good the top tier is, I can't put this up there just because of how good they are. It's nothing against this one. It's just how good those are. So yeah, 1 is in place 7 for me.
You can do 6s too. We'll just go back and forth.
Okay, and I think the next movie that is in that second tier for me, and it will be rounding out that second tier for me, is 3. When I was younger, the third one was actually my favorite one. I really, really liked the third one. I've seen the third one a lot of times. I think the third one is really cool. The villain is sweet. I really like, the rabbit's foot, the mystery behind what that really is. I like how he has to go capture that to save his wife. I like the scene in that movie where he has to jump from rooftop to rooftop and swing in to the lab to steal it. I think the action in that one's really cool. There's a little bit of a kind of a car chase scene when he figures out when he's at the hospital, he figures out his wife's been kidnapped, he gets surrounded and he has to kind of escape those guys. And I think the opening scene is pretty sweet. Well, it's not the opening scene, but it's one of the first scenes when he's retired, but they kind of get him back.
Retired.
Yeah,
He can never be retired.
Yeah, they bring him back in for this mission that's in this warehouse, and that's when that girl dies and he's get the exploding thing in her brain because she was captured by the villain. And I think that's a pretty cool scene when he goes and infiltrates that building and saves her briefly. I think that movie is just really, really cool. I think it's all the places they visit are kind of cool. Like I think whereas it's over in Asia, I'm pretty sure is where. I don't know exactly where it is, but they visit some cool places in that one. So I really like this one a lot. Like I said, this one used to be my favorite one. And I think this one kind of starts really getting the series underway because this one, you've got his wife who plays a part in at least the fourth one. Mm-hmm. And then I think this is the first one that Benji's in, if I remember correctly. So I think this one really kind of kicks the series off. Kick it off. But I think this is where
it takes off.
Yeah, I think this is where the series really starts to skyrocket. So, yeah, I'll have this one in my place 6.
I also have Mission Impossible 3 at 6. I think this is the best opening scene out of any of the movies. When Philip Seymour Hoffman's character has his wife at gunpoint and he's sitting there and he's like, it's just so like menacing and like threatening.
Yeah, the villain in this one is he's a menace.
Yeah, and Ethan's like genuinely like
terrified
and scared. And with a guy like of his stature, you never get scared. Mm-hmm. But like and then he's like he counts down and then he says 10 and then you hear and then it goes to black. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought that was really cool. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman, other than the Entity, is one of the best villains.
Rest in peace,
the
Philip
entire
Seymour Hoffman
series. I agree with
very
you.
Ruthless.
I like the beginning where he infiltrates that abandoned warehouse or something, and then it doesn't go great, obviously, but and I think that is one of the better romance parts of the series with his wife. Mm-hmm. In the struggle that they have, with her being kidnapped, and then that it ultimately forces him to do what he did in the fourth movie, where he just has to completely cut her off and fake her death and all this stuff. But I agree with you exactly. I think this movie is what really kickstarts and starts the upward trend that is the rest of the series. And I think this one, I think a lot of people are like you, where when they first watched it, this one was their favorite. But now that it's gone, it gets better. It gets better and better. But I think this one's still really good. I like this one a lot.
My number 6 is the first Mission Impossible movie. I feel like, me personally, the enjoyment.
Did you have 3 below this one?
I did.
He just had this.
Yeah, I just have them flipped. Purely because the nostalgia in the first movie hits so hard. It gives me real Die Hard vibes.
Yeah,
and I love Die Hard to death.
Exactly what it is. the end of
It gives me real like Die Hard vibes, and just knowing that this is where it all started. Like now that we've seen all of them, like where it's gone,
Yeah.
it's like I can't believe that this has like he's jumping from airplane to airplane, and like we alluded to this earlier, the scene of him dropping the CIA to steal the disc, and now it's like he's jumping from airplane to airplane. It's crazy how far the series has come.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first one, similar to how I enjoyed the third one, and I give the first one a bump for nostalgia reasons. But they're both, I'd say, probably like 7 out of 10 movies, I would say. So they're both enjoyable, I would say.
All right, what is your 5?
My 5th one is this one, The Final Reckoning. I think that The Final Reckoning, I can't talk. The Final Reckoning is comfortably below the other 4 above it, but that it is also comfortably above the 3. It's way above the second one, but it's a tier above the first and the third one. This movie was good. I alluded to this earlier, the last 90 minutes of the movie were really good, up there with the last 4, but the first hour is not on par with the 4 above it. So I'm going to have it 5th. Still a great movie, still a good conclusion to the series. I don't think it's actually concluded. I think they're leaving it open for more Mission Impossible movies to be made. It's in like 5-10 years from now, but it's a good conclusion to like this overarching story. But yeah, I do think the first hour is kind of a mess, so I have to have it below the other 4.
Yeah, I have The Final Reckoning at 5 as well. Pretty much for the exact reasons that you have it. I agree. I think it's a step above the first 3, but it's a step below the next 4 that I have. But we've talked about this movie at length. But I think it's really good, but just not as good as the next 4 that we're going to talk about.
All right, so this is where, in my opinion, this is the top tier of the movies. I think movies 4 through 8 are prime. This is the prime of the series. I think, in my opinion, each and every single one of these movies is a 4.5 out of 5 star. You can rate these next 4 really in any way you want, and I'm not going to argue with you in the slightest. So I'll put that out there. I think, honestly, all 4 of these are just about the same tier. 5?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 5 left.
Yeah, you're right. I think all 5 of these are pretty much at the exact same tier. So, honestly, this can be in no particular order, but if you held a gun to my head and I had to rank them, this is what it would be. I'm also going to probably go 8 here. I really, 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 really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it just about as much as I enjoyed the other 5. But when I sat down and ranked them, it did kind of come to the point where I was like, I don't know if I can put it above.
You can't put it above the other 4.
Yeah.
But like the thing that
the
thing that I really do want to stress though is it's a great conclusion to the series, and I truly these last 5 are all in that same top tier, and in my opinion, I think they are all about the same 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that's where we're landing here. I will go a little further into that when we get to our top rank, but yeah, I'll go with 8 here, and then I'm running it back again. So this is rank 4.
I think we're splitting hairs at this point with the
that's
next 4.
That's what I'm saying. The top 5, in my opinion,
There's
is
not like a
splitting hairs.
massive debate.
Yeah.
No. In my opinion, these top 5, it really is splitting hairs. You're talking about like Jamar Chase versus Justin Jefferson type crap here, So I mean, or
If you say so.
yeah.
You say so, Weaver.
I am objectively right about that. So, for my 4th ranking here, once again in the same top tier, I have the 4th one. I really, really like this 4th one.
Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Protocol. I really like Ghost Protocol a lot. Ghost Protocol has a little bit of a nostalgia vibe for me because it came out in 2011, I think, and so I used to watch that one a lot when I was a little younger, and I just think that one is just such a purely fun action movie. I like the storyline with the it's a nuclear like thing, isn't it?
I think so.
Or it's like, yeah, it's It's something like the Launch Codes because
Yeah.
there's like there's a Russian dude who wants to basically destroy the whole
It's
world
where the
to
bomb
restart
destroys
it.
the Kremlin.
Yeah, that's the fourth one. But the villain is like the Russian dude
Yeah, she's the Russian nuclear.
He's
launch
trying to
pad.
get
Yeah.
a nuclear war to start between the U.S. and Russia.
because he wants to basically destroy the
Yeah.
whole world and restart the world.
Yes.
Basically, is what he wants to do. So I thought that the storyline was pretty cool. I thought the villain was pretty cool. There's just so many scenes in this movie where it's just like there's so many scenes in this one that just stand out to me in the series. Like you've got the Kremlin infiltration. That's such a cool scene. Obviously, when he climbs up the tallest building in the world in Dubai, that's so cool. And you know the car chase and the dust storm, and there's just so much in this movie that I just really like a lot. The final battle scene where he fights the guy. He has to chase the guy, and he ends up fighting him in that car dealership thing. It's just such a cool movie. It's a really fun movie for me, and you know the whole thing is cool where it's like Ghost Protocol. You know you're due to because of what happened at the Kremlin, we have to send you on this mission, but it's completely secret. And if you get caught, like
We can't help
you are
on your own.
Like if you get caught, you're like a terrorist.
Yeah.
So it's like I think the story's really cool. I think there's a lot of really cool action scenes in this movie. I really
The
like,
sandstorm scene is sick.
yeah.
That scene's so cool.
I really like this one a lot. This one is definitely a 4.5 out of 5 star for
For
me.
sure. Very, very good.
Yeah.
I also have Ghost Protocol at 4, for mainly the same reasons. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I mean, again, with like the Russian nuclear code, the Kremlin bombing is one of the
Most influential
Yeah,
events of the
it's-
entire series.
yeah, it's a huge scene. And then again, Ethan gets framed for something he didn't do, which seems
Classic.
To be, seems to be
Yeah.
something
Seems
that
to be a
happens.
trend.
This is
Yeah.
also where they introduced Jeremy Renner.
Yeah,
True.
I like Jeremy Renner's his character, and I like how he's what is he like he's a member of the CIA, but then it comes
Well,
out that he was a field agent, and
yeah.
he was like, and he was on the mission to like protect his wife, but obviously that didn't. To his knowledge, at that point in the movie, it didn't work.
But it was all part of a
it
cover
was
we
all
find
part
at
of
the end of the
plan
movie.
At the end. And then like the dust storm chase is phenomenal. Him scaling the
Burj
towers.
Khalifa,
Doesn't
yeah.
he fall off of that briefly? Or like he
Well,
it's like- he's like-
his
has, like,
one
hand.
glove doesn't work, so he
Yeah,
slips
so
down and he
he's-
has to like
he's
climb
on
up with one hand.
he's on with one hand. Yeah, and then the scene when like the dust is coming, he's trying to like outrun it, and it's like classic, funny run.
Just
style.
run like crazy,
Yeah.
in every single movie, just
yeah.
book it,
And then the end scene with like the car where that's the one where he turns it off right as like the missile is going to launch, right? Or like hit something.
yeah, the missile
And it,
has
like,
already launched, and
yeah.
it's just about
and
to
it, like,
hit a
clips
building in the U.S.
and then it goes into the water.
He presses the button with literally one
Literally
second,
1
left,
second
and
again.
the thing just dies right before it hits the building and goes into the ocean.
yeah.
So like that, this is one of the ones where it's like, well,
The stakes are
most
pretty
of them
high.
are like this, but this one stands out. Where it's like there was literally 1 second left, and we would have been done.
Also, this is where this has nothing to do with the movie, but this is where every film after this has one like very hot actress. In
Yeah,
this is where it starts, and then it goes on from till 8. But shout out Lee Sado or whatever her name is. She's the girl at the beginning who like kills that guy to get the
Oh, I thought you were talking
the
about her.
codes. I mean, yeah, her too. But
Okay.
so that doesn't have anything to do with the movie. But yeah,
It's a little thing they throw into each
yeah,
one, though. after
but
this.
really good movie, nonetheless. And I do like the Ghost Protocol stakes. Like, if you do get caught, like you're just screwed.
Yeah.
So just don't get
It's
caught.
over for you.
Yeah, like we can't do anything for you.
It is what it is.
because you are branded a terrorist and
Yeah.
an enemy of the state.
But great movie. So
My 4 is also Ghost Protocol. I'm not going to talk about that movie anymore because you guys pretty much
I think
covered
we're
it.
going to have the exact same ranking, except you flip 1 and 3.
Yeah, we might. For me, number 3 is Dead Reckoning. That movie, again, splitting hairs at this point. Dead Reckoning is like one of the best action movies I've ever seen in my life. Like the end, I think the end scene of him riding, like we talked about this earlier, of him riding the motorcycle off the mountain is the best stunt in any Mission Impossible movie. It does not get better than that. Hold on, I'm blanking on some of the names in that movie. Give me a second. Give me 1 second.
Actors or what?
Actors. Outside of like the main guys. Obviously, like the Entity gets introduced, and that's like biggest villain, biggest threat in the movie. The cliffhanger at the end of the movie, phenomenal. I'm trying to avoid the spoilers a little bit in case people haven't seen it.
The movie's been
If you haven't seen
but
it,
it's
you're
been
not
out
watching.
for a
The movie's
while.
been out for what,
So-
2 years?
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously
We've
introduced.
talked about every movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if you
they
haven't
killed
seen
off
them, then,
Ilsa Faust at this point.
That was
You know,
tragic.
yeah, that was very, very sad.
So sad.
Very, very sad part of the movie. And yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I think it's the best that Mission Impossible has been in terms of pure action. But we're splitting hairs at this point. Like at this point, they're all top three.
As
are all
I said
phenomenal.
earlier, you can rank these really however
Yeah,
you want.
I
I'm not
have
gonna
Dead
complain that
Reckoning
much.
at 3. That's just kind of the vibe I'm feeling with these movies.
My 3 is Rogue Nation. I love this movie. This is like one of the best, obviously. And this is where you introduce one of my favorite characters, Ilsa Faust. She just did such a good job, and I love her. And this is when the Syndicate is brought in, and I think the whole Syndicate run was a super cool, you know, I guess villain. This is the one where, you know, they Ilsa is like trying to assassinate who's the prime minister of some place,
England,
England
or
or
Great Britain, or whatever it is.
something. And like they're like behind the scenes, she climbs up that tower, and then like she like makes her gun or whatever, and then
Yeah, that's a sweet scene.
and then Ethan's just getting the tar beat out of him by this like massive dude.
Yeah.
But then eventually, like, you know, they move him right as she shoots or whatever. But then he ends up dying in a car bomb. But like him, you know, that scene where like they fly or like get off the roof and all that stuff. I like that movie a lot, and I like introducing the Syndicate as this like sinister person who's like always one step ahead of them, and you have that super tense moment where Benji is like a bomb strapped onto him,
yeah.
and you're like, you're like, oh crap, like are they just gonna blow Benji up? But then they end up, you know, stopping it and then trapping. What's his name? What's the Syndicate guy's
I can't remember.
actual name? Let me find it. I have it right here. Solomon Lane.
That's
they end up
right.
trapping him in that glass box.
Yeah.
Which is in the first scene of the movie, right? When he like
Ethan gets trapped in
Ethan
that.
gets trapped in the box, and that's the scene where they have
What's
like
in
the
the
bone crusher or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that
and
guy.
and he has to like get out of it, and then Elsa helps him. That's a
Yeah.
sick scene.
That is a
which
really
that
cool
calls
scene.
back to the scene and the final reckoning with him and Grace.
Yep.
I just think that movie is very good. And like I'm splitting hairs between obviously the rest of them, but that one is undoubtedly in the top 3, without a doubt. So
Undoubtedly.
phenomenal film.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, this is really where it's just impossible for me. I mean, I can't, I don't really, I don't want to rank these last 3 because they're all like the exact same for me. It's like, I can't like,
You're splitting hairs.
yeah, like but for the sake of the discussion, I'm just going to go with what I first had down. And, well, actually, I changed it once. But we'll go with what I got now. For my third place, I also have 5. And I can't like
There's nothing wrong with the
no,
movie.
like I mean when I originally wrote this list down, I actually had 5 at 2. And 7 was 3 for me. But I mean there's just I don't have anything else to say. I like
Great
oh,
movie.
like
Great
this.
movie.
I mean, it's a phenomenal movie.
Go watch it if you haven't seen
You
it.
hit on everything. I mean, it's just such a good movie. One of my favorite scenes you didn't touch on, though, was the motorcycle chase scene when he's chasing Ilsa Faust up the windy mountain thing on the motorcycle. That's sweet.
Oh, that's the one where he like holds his breath for an absurd amount of time.
That's the fifth one where he holds his breath in that water tube.
Which he actually did.
Yeah, he did actually do that. I love Ilsa Faust. I'm a huge fan of her. She is awesome. She's probably my favorite female side character in the entire series. Like I like Grace a lot too. Grace is pretty cool, but I love Ilsa Faust. I think she's awesome.
Yeah.
So they introduced her in this movie, and she's such a cool character in this one, and as like a bit of a double, triple agent type deal.
Yeah, like you can never tell what side she's on because she helps Ethan, then she hurts him again, and she helps him, and then she hurts him.
Yeah. So it's just I love this movie, and actually I was very close to putting this one as my number one, honestly. Like, I really, really love this movie. This is one of my favorite. This is probably one of my favorite movies all around. Just go to, like, I just really love this movie a lot. So, yeah, I got it at 3, and you could put it at 2 or 1. So, for the 2 that I have listed here, I have 7, which is Dead Reckoning. And I think the number one thing that kept standing out to me compared to just the other ones is just I think that the action was awesome, and I think the villain. I really think the Entity was doing it for me, I think that it's just a sweet villain. And I think the action in this one's really cool. The car chase scene, when him and Grace are handcuffed and he's driving with his, I think that's really cool, and they're escaping in the bug, and he's like handcuffed like this, and so I think that's really cool. And I think Grace is similar to Ilsa in this one as Ilsa is in 5, where it's like she's just like frustrating for the first half because it's like you just keep double crossing Ethan, like you just keep you keep pickpocketing him and he saves her and she freaking handcuffs him into the bug when the train's coming, and it's just like she just keeps screwing him over, and it's just like, but I really like her a lot. I think she's a pretty cool character that they introduced there, and obviously she plays a pretty integral part in the 8th one. But yeah, I think this one is just really cool because I think the villain is really cool with Gabriel and the Entity. And I think that the action is really cool in this one. There's just a lot of pretty sweet plot points, and obviously I feel that this 7th one has the best stunt with him riding a motorcycle off of a mountain. So I really, really like this movie. And like I said, you could put any of these last 3 could be 1, 2, or 3. It's impossible to rank them. But for the sake of the discussion, it is. It really is. But for the sake of the discussion here, I've got 7 at 2 here.
Yeah, I have Dead Reckoning at my 2 as well. I think the Entity is just such a cool villain, and when he gets introduced in this movie, at the very beginning, you have a high stakes scene with there's that bomb that Benji's trying to defuse, and then Ethan sees Gabriel's shadow, and then he takes his glasses off and he's not there, and then he's like, all right, we gotta abort, we gotta leave, this is not good. And then we get introduced to Grace, who I think is a good character, and then that whole car driving scene I think is cool, and then the big meeting with the White Widow, Vanessa Kirby's character.
Yes, the White Widow's in here too,
for him to get the key, and then that whole train sequence where
that's really cool
they're
too.
Fighting, and Grace has the key, and we don't know if she's gonna sell it off, and then it seems like that Gabriel got the key and beat Ethan, but then Ethan pickpocketed him and then got it, and then the tracks collapse and
they have to climb to each
one. They have to climb it as the train's coming down. That's one of the movies in the last probably 5 years that I've left the theater and been like, wow.
Yeah, you leave that theater and you're like, all right, cinema might not be dead.
Well, we went and saw that 2 or 3 times, didn't we?
Yeah, we've saw it a few times.
It's such a shame that movie came out a week before Barbenheimer dropped. Yeah. Because it underperformed at the box office tremendously because,
the
very next
Tom
week...
Cruise is not happy about that.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be either if I was
great
Tom
movie.
Cruise, because that movie was really good.
Yeah.
Like Dead Reckoning's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I also remember leaving like not like terrified, but a bit like uneasy
Because of the
because of
entity.
the reality of the entity and
Yeah.
that like, I mean, it's far fetched, but like that there is a reality where like an AI
That could
just
actually
takes
happen.
over the world and just causes problems for literally everybody, and then with the whole thing where my thought process in that movie was like, how the heck is A gonna find this submarine and
Yeah.
B like get to it, and then I mean, even in the beginning scene, like you see how powerful the entity is when they shoot the missile, thinking it's at a different sub, and it comes back and blows their own submarine up. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But I love that movie is just so good. I just the feeling I got after I left the theater watching the movie was, I was just like, wow, it's such a good movie. So that's why I have it at 2. But I agree with you, 1, 2, and 3 are very interchangeable. I'm not going to have a hard debate about any of those.
Yeah, I have Rogue Nation at number 2, which means we all have the same number 1.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
I have Rogue Nation at number 2. The reason why I put it above Dead Reckoning is because the introduction of Ilsa Faust as a character and the
Yeah.
dynamic that creates between everyone in the cast. I think it's probably the best.
She's my favorite, like,
She's so
female
sick.
character.
She's so cool.
Yeah, I really like her a lot.
Yeah, I think that is what gave it the edge over Dead
well, and
Reckoning.
she
to me,
was
is
the
introduction
longest
of her.
running
I
female
know.
character because she was
Because she was awesome. Because she was great.
Yeah, she was in 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Well, I guess her and Grace are both been.
Yeah, 5, 6,
Grace
and
was
7.
only in
Well, Grace is
7 and 8.
Yeah, well, she was in 6 and 7, so it's 2.
Ilsa was introduced in 5.
She was
5, 6, 7 for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ilsa Faust as an introduction is. I also think the Syndicate. Like, imagine
The Syndicate's
being,
really cool.
being.
Sweet.
Imagine the Syndicate existing in real life.
It
A bunch
might.
of people that have just gone like doing their own thing with the intel that they have by being government agents is horrifying. It's actually horrifying.
The Syndicate's a really cool villain.
So yeah, I think that's probably the Syndicate's probably my favorite villain in the entire movie. And Ilsa Faust introduction as a character, I think, is one of my favorites in the entire series. Yeah, it's phenomenal. 1, 2, and 3 are interchangeable. And I think the lasting impact of Rogue Nation in terms of like the overarching plot of the series gives it a bump for me over Dead Reckoning. But you know, we all have Fallout at number 1.
We do,
and
yeah. For good reason.
I want to say one thing before we talk about Fallout. Back to Dead Reckoning. That the Dead Reckoning movie has the most attractive actresses. You
they have
Haley
Ilsa
Atwell,
and-
Vanessa Kirby, and Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, and the White Widow's
much,
in that
you
one,
don't get
too.
much better than that.
you can't really like.
2 of them,
know.
which are in the MCU now.
That's true. Yeah.
But sorry, Nick. Continue
It's
why
just
Fallout is so
I'm
good.
just not. I'm just gonna. I'd have no words for how good,
Honestly,
how crazy
Fallout-
that movie is.
Yeah. Like, Fallout is so good that, like, I don't even really know, like, what... Like, it's so...
Everything I would. That's one of the movies. That's probably. It's up there with like Raiders of the Lost Ark in terms of best action movies ever.
Yeah, I think it really is, honestly. But see, that's why it was so hard for me to put 7 over 5, and that's why I could very easily be convinced to flip them, is because I feel that 5 and 6 are...
I think it's the best saga
Really,
in the
like
series by far.
Yeah, I really... Well, because Lane is the, like, the leader of the Syndicate, but then when the Syndicate gets disbanded, then he kind of is pretty integral in the 6th one with, like, the plutonium, or was it the plutonium core?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And it was like the apostles were like the leftover like members of the syndicate, you know.
Every
So it's like-
single part in Fallout interchanges like so well.
Yeah.
Every single part of that movie has an equal importance
It does.
in the plot of the film.
Yeah, well, and I think Fallout, I mean, there's also a lot of really cool action scenes in Fallout, because you've got the bathroom scene with the Chinese guy. You've got the stunt with Tom Cruise when he jumps out of that airplane and lands on top to go into that party to meet the White Widow. You've got, let's see, you've got the final scene, obviously, when he's fighting Henry Cavill's character in the helicopter.
So sick.
And he has to.
It's
He
so
chases
cool.
him in a helicopter.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just well, and then you've also in that same scene you've got Benji fighting Lane.
Yeah.
So it's
And
just
him almost dying.
yeah. Well, and his wife is in the sixth one too. So that's a really cool story point too when he like kind of reconnects with his wife there. But yeah, it's so good.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I would not change a single thing about that movie.
No, Fallout is definitely one of the best action movies ever, and it's so good.
It's so good.
I mean, like Ilsa Faust. Like I said, I cannot like rave
Acclaim
about
her
enough.
character enough.
Like she's my favorite female character in the series. I'm a huge fan of Ilsa Faust, but we also get the White Widow in this one. And the White Widow is a pretty cool character. I mean, she's just like not a good guy, but like she's a pretty cool character.
Yeah.
And there's just so much in this movie that it's just like this movie is just freaking sweet. And I'm blanking. Is there a car chase in this one, like a motorcycle chase? Oh,
There always
yeah,
is.
there is because the scene when him, the White Widow, and all of their guys go to like intercept Lane and they kidnap Lane, like Ethan does. There's that in the movie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of cool seeing like Ethan come face to face with like the Syndicate, who was like kind of pictured as like an anti-Ethan in the fifth movie. Mm-hmm. So
that juxtaposition of like two people that are portrayed as like opposites are really not that different from each other.
Well, they kind of have to work together a
Yeah.
little bit here, and that movie is so good. And I mean, you got Jeremy Renner's in that movie again too.
Yeah.
I mean, the cast is just great in this movie. Yeah. That's where the president in the eighth movie, she's the director of the CIA in this one. I like her
Henry
character.
Cavill's in there.
Yeah, Henry Cavill. I mean, this movie is just like
Perfect.
Mission Impossible will never top that. I don't think there will ever be a Mission Impossible movie that tops that.
I truly think though. I truly think the top three really are like 6,
Elite.
7, and 5. I really think are all right there. You know, I mean, I would personally say that, you know, like I said earlier, you got the tiers. 2 is in a tier of its own down here, and then you have 1 and 3 in this tier, and then you have the top tier with 8, 4, 5, 7, and 6.
4 through 8.
But I really do think that, like, you know, I think all of those are 4.5. I think 6 just kind of edges it out a little bit. Yeah, it's close, but 6 is so good.
Yeah, 6 is really good. I mean, I just love this scene when they're fighting in the bathroom.
Oh,
and
that's
then-
an awesome
And
scene.
then, you know, you get like Henry Cavill goes like this, and then he's like, "All right, it's on now." And
Yeah.
then like the ending scene when you bring back his wife, Benji's like on the verge of death, and then
For the second straight movie.
yeah, and then Ethan's just chasing Henry Cavill's character in a helicopter, and he runs into him, and
Yeah.
then
They fight on a mountainside.
yeah, they're like both near death, and then his like Henry Cavill's like his face gets burnt off, and then they keep fighting, and then he finally gets him out, and Ethan's pretty much almost dead, and then he finally
He barely
gets it
the-
again with 1 second, and
Yeah.
then he's just laying on like the cliff as like the sunrise comes up, and then they come
Yeah.
and help him. Just such a great movie. The stakes are obviously super high, and yeah, it's just so good.
It is really cool how they with his wife, because, in the fourth one, at the end of the fourth one, we find out that she's not actually dead. It was a cover story so that she could kind of get out and be
She would be
safe,
protected,
Yeah. So I think it's cool how they brought her back in this one to say she's married and she's living a safe life now, and it's what the sacrifice that he made for her in the fourth one, it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sixth one is just. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. Definitely the best.
Yeah. But 5 and 6. If you haven't seen 5,
5, 6,
I mean, honestly,
7.
4 through 8. If you haven't seen 4 through 8, you got to watch them immediately. But to really zero in, if you haven't seen 5, 6, and 7, You know, what are you doing?
Banger after banger.
Yeah,
Banger.
yeah.
Shout out Christopher McQuarrie. After he took over is when it really started.
Well, did he take over for Ghost Protocol too? Or
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So he's the one. Oh, yeah. Him and Tom Cruise together. Oh, that's a power couple.
So shout out to him for delivering some insane films.
An insane
Best action
saga.
movies of all time. Some of the
Yeah.
best action movies ever.
Best
Also
action
shout out
series of
Tom
all
Cruise
time.
for doing them.
Shout out Tom Cruise for this. That is all I will be shouting out Tom Cruise for.
That's fair. Oh, and Top Gun.
And Top Gun.
Top
That's fair.
Gun is phenomenal.
Both Top Guns.
Yeah, both Top Guns.
And Jerry Maguire. It's a good movie.
I haven't seen Jerry Maguire actually. I need to watch that one. But dude, Maverick.
That was the first real big blockbuster movie after COVID.
I watched.
That
was
saved
Maverick.
movies because
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh, like COVID, everyone's streaming them. Like
Yeah.
people actually getting out of movies." And then Tom Cruise was like, "This will only be shown in movie theaters." Then it went nuts.
I remember me and you went to go see Top Gun Maverick. I believe we went on opening night, and it was just the two of us. And I remember going into that movie, and I was like, I'm excited for this movie. I think this is going to be a fun action movie. I left. I don't think I've
The
ever,
life changed.
Yeah, honestly, outside.
you rocked the mustache that summer off that movie.
I still have it.
Everybody
Yeah.
did.
I think that outside of Infinity War and Endgame, I don't know that I have ever left the theater just more expectations just shattered. I went into that movie expecting to see a fun, solid action movie, and I got for me personally, literally a top 10 movie of all time.
Top 10 favorite movie ever.
I have Maverick at number 10 in my top 10 movies of all time.
It's really
I have
good.
Maverick at 10.
It's really good.
That is that movie is that movie came out at the end of May, and from the end of May to the end of that year, I watched that movie 6 times. I watched Top Gun Maverick 6 times from May to December.
It's like when the first.
I don't think I've watched it 6 times ever. I think I'm at 3 or 4,
I think
but
I've seen it
still.
3 times.
Yeah.
I watched that movie 6 times from May to December,
Well,
and it didn't get old. I would watch it right now.
that guy's making the new F1 movie that comes out.
That movie looks good. That movie looks sick.
I will be there opening night.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Chris
for that
Stapleton just dropped a song that is on the album for that movie. It's really good. It's
Don
really
Toliver
good.
has a song in there too. It's pretty good.
Brad Pitt's starring in that movie.
So
I will
Damson
be there
Idris.
opening night for
And
that one.
he's really good.
Yeah, I know. Damson Idris is a phenomenal
Very
actor.
good actor. And I mean, one of the main reasons I'm super excited for that movie. It's off topic, but with Top Gun, we had so many cockpit shots and stuff,
Yeah.
and there's going to be
Same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
the car. But yeah, looking forward to that.
It's just going to be one of those high octane, just fun action type movies.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's like Top Gun Maverick, but in cars.
Yeah, that I just from what I know about this movie,
Formula
I'm
One.
getting the same
Vibes.
Top Gun
Yeah.
type vibe.
Well, also-
now, it's not going to be as good as Top Gun because nothing can top Top Gun. But
But it's also cool that they filmed it at an F1 race with all the F1 drivers.
Yeah.
It's shot on location and it's
Yeah,
as real as you could make it. So,
yeah, that's going to be a really cool movie. That just that seems like a Tom Cruise movie,
but it's Brad Pitt. Another good.
Which Brad Pitt's another
good
guy who's kind of like that.
coming off his phenomenal performance in Bullet Train.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Shout out Mission Impossible for being one of the greatest series ever, greatest action films ever. What's the next movie that is I guess we could talk.
Ballerina comes out in about a week.
Ballerina comes out in
week
a
or
week
two.
and a half.
So that's out of the John Wick. That's another really good action series.
I'm
that
very
is-
interested to see how that movie goes.
Yeah, so we'll be watching that one, and then F1 comes out, and then you've got
Then we
Fantastic
got
Four, Superman in
Four,
July,
Superman.
and then Jurassic World in July as well. We're still gonna watch it though. We're gonna still watch it.
Yeah, but I don't have very high expectations.
Well, I don't either, but it's still gonna. I mean, it's still gonna
I
be
don't
a
think anyone
dinosaur
does.
action movie. It's gonna be at least fun to watch.
Hopefully.
I
Yeah,
guarantee.
with the dinosaur with the cranium dome.
Yeah, I guarantee you that we are going to leave that theater in way better spirits than what we left the theater after Craven and Morbius and Flash.
I would hope so.
Those
I
are
would hope
three of the
so.
worst movies I've ever seen in theaters. So
But
I
like,
would hope so.
but you're like, I don't really care. And it's like, it's still going to be a fun action dinosaur movie. It's like, no, it's not going to be as good as Jurassic World or the OG Jurassic Park, but it's still going to be
It'll
fun.
be exactly like how the last one was, where it was
Yeah, but it's still going to be an enjoy. Like, I am not going to feel like I wasted 2 hours of my life watching it.
I might.
We should go on a Tuesday, so it's like $7. So if we do,
It's not going to be that bad. That's like what you do to. That's like what you do to go see Craven. It's not going to be that bad. It has Scarlett Johansson in it. The cast is decent.
It's true. Yeah, well, that's gonna wrap it up for us for today's episode. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did, and comment below what you thought about Dead Reckoning, or what your favorite
Final Reckoning.
Final Reckoning, sorry, or what your favorite Mission Impossible movie is. We would love to hear from you guys. But that's gonna wrap it up for us. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.